Our first speaker, the great governor of the state of New York, believed in Buffalo before it was even cool to believe in Buffalo. He gave us hope, an affirmation that by working together, we can and will move this community forward. I mentioned the Children's Will Never Move chatter. There was a time when this project was on life support, no pun intended. But the community weighed in. Our donors, many of whom are here today, stepped up in a big way. And Governor Cuomo said, New York State believes in our kids and in the future of Buffalo, New York. He said, we need a state-of-the-art children's hospital in Buffalo, right on the Buffalo Niagara Medical Campus. And he came through with a $35 million commitment to build the new hospital. Governor, thank you. Governor Cuomo understands us here in Buffalo. He's a tremendous advocate, not only for healthcare in Buffalo, but throughout the state. During the repeal and replace debate over the summer, the governor gave me a call and said, Jody, I'm concerned about Children's Hospital and the impact these cuts will have on our kids in this community. It's that type of investment and that type of leadership that has led us here today. Ladies and gentlemen, it is my great honor to introduce the governor of our great state, Mr. Andrew Cuomo.
Thank you very much, guys.
Thank you, Governor. Appreciate you being here. Thank you.
Thank you. Good morning, everyone. First, to my escorts, Alex, Eli, and Jackson, who are also the youngest state police recruits in the state of New York. Let's give them a round of applause. To Garrett, who led us in prayer, that was very impressive. I think you may have public office in your future, but avoid it. Garrett Rumfolo, let's give him a round of applause. Frank Kersey, God, congratulations and God bless you what you do. Thank you. To Jody Lomeo, to Robert Joyer, to Mark Polenkars, to Byron Brown, Crystal People-Stokes, Brian Higgins, Chris Jacobs, Howard Zemsky, all the men and women who work so hard to make this a reality. It is a beautiful building. It is a beautiful facility. And it's yet another giant step forward. And Jody said it very well. If you were to describe to a person a few years ago the progress that Buffalo was going to make and the things that were going to be done, if you talked about the Buffalo Niagara campus, they would say it's impossible. It's not going to happen. And what makes today special is not because it was easy, it's because it was hard. It was all hard. The past 5 years have been hard. Children's Hospital started out of a dispute when they first talked about moving it from Elmwood, and the fear, because that's all Elmwood had, if you remember back then. And the fear of losing the hospital was everything, because people were scared. People were desperate. They were afraid about the future. They weren't positive and optimistic about the future, so they were afraid of giving up what they had. It's many days ago and many years ago, and a totally different state of mind. Jody is right. There was a negativity in the air. People believed the best days were behind them, and they didn't believe in the future. And that becomes self-fulfilling, and that becomes a downward spiral. If you don't believe you have a future, you don't have a future. Young people start to leave, businesses start to leave. And that's exactly where Buffalo was for many, many years. And what you've done is the impossible. You turned around the psyche. You turned around the expectation and the culture and the belief. And you didn't do it with words, you did it with progress. Impossible project after impossible project. This was an impossible dream. You made it come true. The Gates Center, an impossible dream, you made it come through. UB 2020, an impossible dream, you made it come through. Canal Side was a parking lot. And for years, the big hope and dream was maybe we'll get a Bass Pro Shop. That was it. That was the dream. And now Canal Side, over 100,000 visitors, a central point. Bob Gioia, congratulations for what you've done there. Really, Robert. But that has been the story of so many projects. It was AMRI. It was moving the Robert Moses Parkway after so many years of talking about it. It was bringing back the Niagara Falls State Park, which had become an embarrassment, frankly. Getting new hotels to Niagara Falls. Who would have believed it? Project after project that just showed what the potential is. And remember how you did it. You did it by coming together in a way nobody thought Western New York could come together. And a mayor and a county executive who said, let's embrace arms and let's work together as one. And that's what Byron Brown did and Mark Poloncarz did. They reached across that artificial line between the city and the county and said, we are one, we have one future, one destiny, let's work as a team. They deserve a round of applause. The political differences, I'm a Democrat, I'm a Republican, that was all put aside. Easier said than done. But your delegation worked together. It wasn't easy to get Buffalo $1 billion in aid from Albany, believe me. It was the largest single investment made in a city in the state's history. So it took the entire Buffalo delegation to fight the rest of the legislature to explain why Buffalo needed the help more than any other place in New York. It was getting that New York State legislature to realize there's a place called Buffalo and upstate New York. You know, most of the legislature is from downstate. They don't look past the Bronx, you know. Their map is the Bronx and then Canada. But your delegation came together, Democrats and Republicans. Crystal Peoples-Stokes worked with Chris Jacobs. I've said many times, if it wasn't for the Republican support, working with the Democratic support, none of it happens. Not the Buffalo $1 billion, not the Buffalo $1 billion, and they deserve a round of applause. And then you came together across the span, something we call the Regional Economic Development Council. Why can't we get government to work with the private sector, to work with academia, put everybody around one table and have one common vision? Very simple to say, very hard to do. Howard Zemsky, with his charm and wit and personality, I would say sense of humor, but he doesn't have one, but he brought all those forces together, and we came up finally with one plan and one destiny. And let's give him a round of applause. I told Howard one day there should be a statue built to Howard Zemsky for what he did for this city. I told him the state would do the statue now, but he would have to be dead, which is a downside to the state doing it. So we will wait for the future. But he did an extraordinary job. And all of it then works. And it worked to change the energy and change the momentum and change the mentality. And Buffalo went from a place where it'll never happen to a place that says we can do anything we set our mind to. It went from a place that was all about yesterday, and when we had the steel mills and when it was Republic Steel, to now it's all about what's tomorrow. And Tesla's coming and Panasonic is coming and the medical campus is growing. And that shift is everything. And working together, you've shown there's nothing that you can't do. I would love to say the challenges are all gone and it's all smooth sailing. That is not the case. That's not the story of life. That's not the story of Buffalo. That's not the story of any successful venture. Successful venture, the story is the story of overcoming obstacles. And there are more obstacles for us to overcome. We have federal proposals that are on the table now that threaten New York State more than any state in the nation. Jody was talking about the possible health care cuts. We still face the health care cuts and the health care proposals. That would decimate the state of New York. 66% of the people who come to this hospital will be Medicaid recipients, Medicaid reimbursable. We're looking at billions of dollars in cuts to Medicaid. The federal program that aids public hospitals, like ECMC, was ended on October 1. That is a tremendous financial hole. Health insurance for children. We're in Children's Hospital, what they call the CHIPS program, Child Health Insurance Program. First child health insurance program insured poor children. Started in the state of New York by a governor named Mario Cuomo. It was a great visionary move in health care. President named Bill Clinton adopted the program from New York, made it a national program, forgot to mention that it was a New York program, but now there's a proposal on the table to end that program. 13,000 children in Western New York would be without health care. So these are serious challenges. On top of that, there's a tax proposal that would eliminate the deductibility of state and local taxes. Now, it's complicated, so people don't understand what it means, but it's a death blow to New York. Right now, you pay state and local taxes, you deduct them from your federal income tax, and then you're taxed on the amount less the state and local. This proposal says you can no longer deduct the state and local taxes. It is double taxation, so you'd pay taxes to the states, pay taxes to the local government, you then get taxed again federally. Why is it worse for New York? Because we have some of the highest property taxes in the United States of America. So what it really is Washington's attempt to cut taxes in other parts of the country by using New York as a piggy bank. And that is something that we cannot allow to happen. It would literally change the competitiveness of this state overnight. We've worked very hard to reduce taxes, and we've gotten taxes down to an all-time low on the state level. This would turn it 180 degrees. So those are the challenges. And the solution is to do what you did in making this building a reality, and everything you've done together for the past 7 years. You come together, you put your political differences aside, and we stand up and we fight for New York. And we fight for Western New York, and we fight for what is right. If the New York federal delegation stands together, they can stop these proposals. That's how strong our delegation is. But our delegation has to stand together. Same challenge we had in Albany. They can't play politics. It can't be Democrat and Republican. We have a saying in Albany, we're Democrats, we're Republicans, we're New Yorkers first. Your duty is to New York. I don't care what lapel pin you wear. You represent the people of the state of New York. And we need our people to stand up now and stop these federal assaults on New York. Remember who elected you. Remember where you live. Remember where you're going home. You're New Yorkers. Put your politics aside and act that way, and let's stop these proposals that will decimate this state, and let's do it now. We have come a long way. We've come a long way together. And just as it was hard to start to push that boulder up the hill, well, now that boulder is coming down the hill. We have the momentum is with us. Buffalo is cool. Young people are coming back. Jobs are coming back. Prices of homes are going up because people believe in Buffalo once again. And that's what you accomplished. And that optimism and that energy is going to develop a positive synergy where this is just the beginning. It's been my honor to see the progress that Western New York has made because people refused to give up and people cared enough to come together to make a difference. God bless you. Thank you for having me.
Governor, thank you. But before you leave, the governor is on a tight time schedule. And again, we thank him for all of his support, his leadership, and his belief in us. And we have some friends of ours from Stone's Buddies who'd like to make a quick presentation to you, Governor.
Ooh, that's a beauty. This is a big card. You didn't get this in the card store, did you? How beautiful is that card? Isn't that something? Can you take a picture? Good thing you handed it. Good thing they handed it to me. The postage would have been a killer. Thank you very much. Congratulations, Governor. Thank you so much.